Welcome back to the grind for another tier list update for December. Now there are some changes as well as new champions and the buffs from last month that are going to be added. As you can see on the right side there, the Hawkeye buff and Joe Fixit buff are not included in this update because I want to have a month to see how things go, try them myself and see what it's like. But we do have some updates for those who haven't seen this before. This is my tier list on what I think of different champions in the game, and hopefully it'll be a useful guide for you to help decide which champions will add value to your account. Now this tier list is set up in a bit of a different way than what I've seen others, so I'll break that down for you. But first, the disclaimer: no tier list is going to be perfect for every player because every player is at a different place in the game and has a very different roster. You need to rank up champions that are going to benefit you for your next step in the game. So if you're trying to get through a certain story quest and the boss you don't have an answer for, your next rank up should be to address that issue. If you're trying to get into a better alliance with a higher alliance quest map, you want to have champions that can handle the lanes that you're going to have to take, and the same for war. So that's how you should ideally choose what champions to rank up, but this is to be a general guide to see what I think different champions value is in the game, and it's structured in a way to be not which ones are better than others, but more so how much value each champion might add to a roster, and if you have a big roster, which ones should you be focusing your attention on. So breaking down the tiers, we have top tier, which is supposed to be the tier for champions that it doesn't really matter what your roster is or what champions you have. You're probably going to want to rank them up right away, and you'll probably benefit from having them right away. The next is champions that I would say you should strongly consider because most players will find a good use for them right away, or it'll just be nice to have them for specific situations regardless, but you probably won't regret having this champion leveled and ranked up. The next is roster dependent. This one is more so that some accounts that have a need for this champion will find good use for this champion. Very solid champions are in this tier, but they fill more of a specific need. So if you already have those issues or needs addressed, then this tier of champions might not be your go-to for the next rank up. And then the next one down is situational. And there are certain situations where you might want to rank this champion or where this champion is beneficial, but you're probably going to be ranking this tier of champions for a specific need or just because you enjoy them. And then below that is the man. We're not really going to spend much time talking about those champions ever, but I did put stars by the ones that I think if you're a really low level progressing player, they might add value to invest in because they tend to have more either a little bit of utility or better damage for them to access to help you progress through the lower story contents. So now first let's talk about the new champions, Cersei and Icarus. Now Icarus kind of came out and had a little bit of hype initially, but then sort of fell flat because he's been bugged and not fixed, and so people haven't really been creating content or looking at him because it's not a true representation of what he will look like. And honestly, comparing the two, I'm less excited about Icarus myself, but there are some pros and cons. So the pros, he's immune to shock and incinerate, which is a great combination to have, and he takes 20% less damage from poison. So that's good if he runs Suicide Masteries, but his playstyle isn't really conducive to Suicide Masteries. He also has very easy access to multiple, very long-lasting Incinerate debuffs, so you can stack a bunch of them and keep them active the entire fight. So if you want to have for like Distract or something like that, or something where you want a node wants you to have Incinerate on all the time, then he's going to benefit from that. He also has the ability to stack up lots of buffs. They are the same buff and energized buffs, but you can stack up to 10 of those, so it's good for buffed up. But the cons, he is very dependent on throwing lots of special attacks to stack up all his Incinerates, which will then result in increased damage. He's kind of dependent on those energized buffs, so if you can't gain buffs or are punished for gaining buffs, it's going to be a problem. His Incinerates deal very little damage and take multiple special attacks to build up, to stack to significant numbers before you can actually consume them with your special 3 for the big damage. So you'll be doing lots of special attacks to build it up, like maybe 2 to 3 special 1s and then 2 to 3 special 2s and then the special 3, and that's just a lot of times throwing special attacks. So those are some of the cons. And then Cersei's a lot of fun. I created a new account to get Cersei and Icarus, and I leveled up Cersei, and so I played with Cersei a lot, through the lower act content, and she's a lot of fun to play, and she gets big damage off her special too, very easily, and so most of the fights, at least at that progression level, are over with one special too. So her pros are she has quick access to damage. With a single special 2, you can get a bunch of Furies, which can deal a lot of damage. She has a reliable glancing mechanic, which is nice for decreasing block damage, or if you get hit in the face and you take a lot of damage, it'll activate as well. But also, it can prevent on-hit effects when the opponent hits you. If the glancing is active, it's a 100% chance to prevent the ability from triggering, which can be very nice in a lot of situations. And I think we're going to see over the next several months where this can come in very, very handy. So that's something that's unique about her, that actually I think holds a lot of value. She also has very solid prestige, which is nice, especially because her SIG is kind of nice to have. So if you invest in her, she actually could be a decent prestige champion. She has access to unblockable buffs, true damage, regeneration, so she's somewhat sustainable. Incinerate on the special 3 can do some big damage too. And then also easy access to buffs for buffed up that you can keep active throughout the entire fight. So not bad. And her rotation is pretty simple. And you can kind of mix it up depending on what you're looking for, which is a lot of fun. So you can kind of customize the way you play her. A lot of fun, and I think a lot of utility coming from her that we'll see in the near future. Some of her cons, though, she is also reliant on buffs with those Furies, and you have to throw frequent and rapid medium attacks, medium ending combos, I should say. So you want to do like a medium and then parry medium and then parry medium, and you're going to repeat that. So if you can't parry or stun the opponent, it's going to be annoying to get a lot of those medium attacks to end your combo, and it can feel a little bit like fragmented if you're constantly having to do short combos to get those transmutation buffs built up, which you then convert into the Furies for the damage. Let's see what else. She does also have limited utility outside of that glancing mechanic and the buffs and regen. There's not, like power control and stuff like that. She's lacking on some of that other utility. And so that's the new champions. I think they both kind of fall into this roster dependent tier because, they do have some value depending on what you need. But I wouldn't say that either of them, at least at this point, deserves a strongly consider. Although I could see them moving up there. Cersei could have some value in the near future, as seeing more and more as she gets used. And then once we really see some Icarus, once he's fully fixed, then we might have a better idea of where he will land as well. Now we do have some other things to talk about as far as promotions. Now Overseer, and I should point out all of these blue and underlined text. Those are links to guides that I have on them or quick showcases of the champion if I don't have a full guide. So I'm working on putting those in. If there's a specific champion you'd like to see, let me know so I can work on that. But I do have a video on the Overseer to kind of showcase why I think he deserved to be promoted up to the roster dependent tier, because I do think he offers a lot to an account. And he fills several different kind of needs that might be holding you back in different aspects of the game. And so if you don't have champions to fill those needs, he actually does what he does quite well. And so I was really enjoyed putting that video together, and I would love to have an Overseer myself. Thankfully, the footage was given to me by one of my viewers, so that was very nice of them to share. So he moved up, and then War Machine, I did decide to move... I never actually did move him up, but I did decide to move War Machine up as well. And that is more to the strongly considered category because he does have a lot of utility on his own right. He does have access to lots of damage, but there's one thing that he has that not many other champions offer, and that's the ability to remove prowess effects from the opponent. With his special 1, the suppression debuffs, and you can trigger this through blocks as well. The suppression debuffs will strip off the prowesses. Now I think it's supposed to be 1-to-1, but currently the first suppression removes all prowess effects. And so this is a good option if you really struggle against Kitty Pryde because of her prowesses stacking up and her phasing and going, being hard to counter. War Machine throws off his special 1 and removes all the prowesses to very easily control that fight. He also has an armor up buff that he has at the start of the fight. He can cause armor breaks on his special 2, and you can keep those active the entire fight, and you can stack 2 of them as well. He gets a passive fury off his special 3, which is dependent on how many armor breaks are on the opponent at the time, so you can get increased damage for higher health pools. And he's pretty sustainable at lower health as well, but that's dependent on his signature ability, so higher sig would be better for that aspect. And that at 15% he'll trigger some regen. Now the big selling point for him is he has some pre-fights that he can apply to other techs to make them more suicide friendly, to deal more damage and stuff like that. So definitely someone to consider in a more strong fashion, I would say, especially if you have a lot of techs that you enjoy playing, because he can make them a lot better and more versatile. Now, that is really it. Somebody did recommend reconsidering Anti-Venom, because I have him in the roster dependent category, so a bit of an explanation why he is there, because so far I haven't seen anything super impressive from him. He does have a lot of different utility, but he doesn't do them exceptionally well. So yes, he is a great champion for a progressing player because of all the utility he has and the access to damage, although it does take a little bit of ramp to get to it, that he has all these things that make him a good champion. But if you have other champions that fill those needs already, you probably won't want to play him unless it's a synergy champion as well, and so you're bringing him in. So that's why he's more roster dependent, because it depends on what you have already and what you need that will really decide whether or not you want him ranked up. And so that's kind of why he is there. And maybe I'll see more gameplay and stuff as things go on, and he'll actually show himself to be a bit of a stronger champion that you should consider more strongly. But for now, that's where he's going to be. Also, if you haven't seen, I do have a suicide ranking tier list here, which kind of ranks how well different champions handle suicide masteries. So take a look at that if you'd like, and then let me know your thoughts on that. But let's just take a quick look here at some other champions just to explain and give a bit of background. I'll try to pick some that I haven't talked about before. I did recently put in a Tigra video here, so you can take a look at that. She is likely to end up in the top tier category because she is an extremely versatile and good champion. The problem is she's really challenging to play. And so that is more why she's in the strongly considered category, because you really don't benefit unless you master her. And the reason why she's so challenging to play is it's not just learning how to play her, but how to play her against every single champion in the game, because you have to learn to heavy counter different heavy attacks and special attacks in order to use her exceptionally well. So that's why she's down there. And a couple things that I might consider, I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep She-Hulk in the top tier. She definitely is a great champion. I just feel like I haven't seen a lot out of her in the last while. And same for Void, but Void is, for somebody who doesn't have a strong science roster and pulls Void, he's an awesome champion. I did put Mr. Fantastic in top tier because he is very similar to Void in what he can do. His playstyle is a bit more challenging to get it, but he does do a lot very well, and there's lots of good videos out there, and he can get really good damage as well, especially when he's awakened and sigged up. He gets more power gain, and therefore he can throw off more special attacks and really boost his damage as well. But in addition to that, he has pre-fights that can really make a lot of other champions a lot better, as well as make a lot of fights and nodes a lot easier to manage. So that's why he's there. Mojo, I don't know if I'm wanting to promote Mojo just because I've been playing mine a lot more lately since I took mine to rank 3. But Mojo has a lot of versatility and utility as well as sustainability. And Mojo has a synergy that when you put Mojo on the team, it doesn't have to have any synergy partner. Just having Mojo on the team gives everyone else increased power gain, combat power gain, which is really nice, especially if you have a lot of rank 2 6-stars, because their power gain isn't as good as the higher ranked champions. And so some champions as 5 stars, rank 5, are going to do better because they can get their special attacks off much more quickly and frequently than a 6-star at rank 2. And so having Mojo can really boost it up a little bit to make it a little easier, or at least feel better playing those champions as 6-stars, especially when they're at rank 2 or even at rank 1. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. If there's certain champions you'd like to have me reconsider or have me make videos on, let me know. I am considering putting out another playlist type of videos for champions where I can just do like a very quick rotation guide. Not a full breakdown of the champion, but just a quick rotation guide to show how to access the damage or the utility in certain situations. So maybe like a 2 to 3 minute clip just to break down, if you want to do heavy attacks or if you want to end in medium attacks, if you want to throw your special 1 and 2 or your special 3 and 1 and that kind of thing. So let me know if that would be helpful and I'll start working on some things like that. But other than that, I think that's it for this video. I really do hope that this was helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I hope to see you in the next video.